Welcome, FemTV viewers. I'm your host, Farhana Kassim. I am so happy to be joined today by none other than Sharmin Sriram, founder and president of Spectrum Medical Diagnostics. Sharm, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be able to do this. I'm very excited. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, as a very successful female entrepreneur, we really wanted to hear more about your story. Can you share with us a little bit about how Spectrum came to be? I know it was quite a journey to get you here. I think our viewers would really love to hear a little bit more about this path. It's different.
Absolutely. And so first again, yeah, thank you so much. It has been quite the journey. It's been just such an exciting part of my life. I decided to start my company when I had a six-figure position. I felt like I wanted to do more. There was something more that I needed to accomplish. More importantly, I wanted to make a contribution to the healthcare system. I wanted to help improve the process when it came to screening and patient diagnosis. So I decided to collaborate with a number of healthcare providers within the industry and just it made sense. I had a lot of networks and a lot of networking that I did over the years, and I was able to collaborate with some key influencers. And lo and behold, it fell into place. I was able to acquire the right products and connect with the right people, and it was part of my passion. I had a vision of how I wanted to run my company, but also, like I said, make a difference within the healthcare system, and just everything just sort of took off from there.
So what does Spectrum do?
So we specialize in rapid diagnostic screening tools. So that includes substance abuse detection, women's health, and more recently, actually, COVID testing, something that's very much in the spotlight these days and something of interest for a lot of people out there.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go right to this COVID question and just right there, because I know this is exactly what probably everybody's going to think. How
Definitely.
quickly can you get a test result back using your services as opposed to waiting for a hospital or somebody else
Definitely.
to
Yeah.
get back with, that bated breath? I mean, as parents, any parent who has children in the school system right now, not virtual, but actually attending,
Mhm.
has probably had more than their fair share of COVID tests. So,
No,
that bated breath feeling that you have, how quickly can we get a result from you?
definitely. You know what? And it has been quite the roller coaster of a ride this entire time. And it's something of that's so important. So the solutions that we have obviously offer rapid results. It's not for everybody and it's not for every industry. Obviously COVID PCR testing is the gold standard right now. But more recently, a lot of companies are transitioning from PCR to antigen screening. And that's where we come into play. We have products that are able to offer results within 15 minutes. Is it meant to replace PCR? Yeah, it's very fast, but not meant to replace the gold standard PCR, but to give that peace of mind for companies and organizations out there that want to know that they're mitigating that risk, not spreading the virus further. And we were able to acquire some great solutions for that and contact, like I said, a lot of our client base to say, hey, we have rapid tests. This is something you could use. And definitely a lot of interest that we're getting. And of course, parents, I mean, of course, being a parent, it's nerve wracking, is our child going to, I mean, children are carriers. So are they going to bring that home to us? And I mean, myself, my daughter's doing online schooling, but definitely is something that people could use to offer that peace of mind.
Definitely. What a great service to be able to offer. I feel like just the parent market alone would be incredible for you.
Yeah, definitely.
But
It definitely is. Yeah.
what led you down this journey? You mentioned when you were describing your business that you have this incredible passion for healthcare and making a difference in the healthcare space. I know you have a very personal story about that, and I'm wondering how much of that you might be willing to share with us, because I think it would be impactful for our audience to get some context around what drove you to leave a six-figure corporate life with stability, with benefits, with job security, to go down this path.
Definitely. Well, I was the main financial provider this like that entire time. So I had a little girl at the time I was married, and I had to make sure before leaving that position that I had a viable income, like something that could sustain and be able to allow me to provide for my daughter and for the family. And there's a few different aspects that led me down this path. But professionally, that's, I mentioned, I want to make a contribution to the healthcare, but I can tie that into my personal journey of just having health complications that I experienced. So in my late 20s, I was actually diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder with chronic inflammatory arthritis. And so that pretty much took over my entire body. So every joint was attacked. And before the age of 40, I actually had multiple replacements, like joint replacements, and so 2 knee replacements, a hip replacement. But you know what? It led me down, and that's sort of why I wanted to make or sort of collaborate. I wanted to help improve the diagnosis because I went through a lot of poking and prodding. When it comes to Western medicine, it's all trial and error, and having that key, just having the right tests done, having the right diagnoses is so important. And that's where my passion to enhance patient treatment came in. It was sort of a personal part of my personal story, but also professionally as well. It just made sense. And so I actually, before I left my 6-figure position, I was actually already running my company. So it was something that I was doing every waking minute. I mean, I would basically perform my regular duties at my position at my company. And then every time I had, aside from obviously, taking care of my little one, I spent that time to grow this company. I connected and I hustled like nobody's business. And I'd left the position. It was very risky, very scary. I was extremely mortified the day that I resigned from that corporate position that I had. And you know what? I had that faith in myself. It just made sense at that time. And I was able to grow the company enough where, okay, now I have an income. I have enough where I could take care of my little girl. And like I said, just hustled from there.
That is so motivating. Hearing that story, I am not that I plan to give up my corporate career anytime soon, but I know that it would resonate with some others. I
Definitely.
personally, I need my stability. So I don't know how you have the courage to make a choice like that. But I think that leads me to a question that came in from our Instagram viewers who knew that we were going to be speaking with you. And what they really wanted to hear more about was, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's been toying with the idea of starting something, maybe even leaving a career, very much like you had to, in order to maybe finally pull that trigger and say, okay, it is time to follow this dream? What kind of advice would you be able to share from your own experience?
Yeah, I think it's super important to have a business plan or have an idea of what you're looking to do. What sort of service or product are you thinking of offering? There's no such thing as a bad idea. It's about just planning it out and executing, right? That's where things come into play. Do you have a sustainable product or service that you can offer? Who do you plan on marketing those products or solutions to? Is there a niche? Is there a need? So many different avenues or so many different factors that's important to consider, obviously, because it's not an easy thing to leave a well-paying position to start a company where there's so much uncertainty. And that's exactly what I had. But I drove through that. I went with what I knew at that time. So it's good to go with what you know and who you know as well. If you have any connections, hey, can you call up, people that you met? You never know who you come across. Like, people come into your path for a reason, and I firmly believe that. I'm obviously spiritual from that perspective, but it's important to consider that. Talk to people that you know who are in business. Think about a product that you have that would be potentially filling a need or satisfying a need for the market. And then, like I said, business plan. You need to have a business plan. Really, really important, because then it forces you to break down that market and figure out what your niche is and what exactly you plan on doing when you start that company. But have faith in yourself. I think a lot of the times, especially when we're juggling so much, let's face it, motherhood, being in business, being in, having a career, it's a juggling act. So have all that mapped out, and like I said, have faith. It's important to have faith in yourself.
Thank you. That's really great advice. I think it'll resonate really well with our audience. So I appreciate your candor. I think it's really great that you focused on the business plan aspect and really thinking through your strategy. That's really impactful advice for anyone who's really looking to pull that trigger, to make that shift. It's going to be important to think through how they want to achieve their goals and what their timeline for success might be.
Mhm.
What does success look like for you? When did you know that you were going to be okay to walk away from your corporate life and follow the stream, but also back to that success question? What is success? How do you define it? How do you define it personally as well as professionally, and maybe together?
For sure, that's a great question. Success for me is not just business; it's also um, just having a certain lifestyle, but also being able to have that peace of mind when you're finished your day. Is there a peace of mind? Am I worrying? Am I focusing too much or having too much anxiety? I mean, obviously that comes with the territory, but success for me was just from the professional perspective, just seeing the results, seeing my hard work paying off, but also, personally speaking, knowing that I can be a positive role model for my daughter, being able to provide for her and do things with her that I always wanted to do. I have a little girl. I want to do fun things with her. And is it easy? No, it's not easy. I mean, that's something. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication and commitment, but that's what success is for me. I mean, I even have a vision board, every year I I create a vision board for myself. Okay, what does this year look like? What's my landscape? What do I want to accomplish? And I have those goals, just like everybody else. We all have our goals, whether it's travel, whether it's, buying some nice purses, whatever the case may be. Everyone has their heart's desire. And for me, it's not just about buying things, it's about having the peace of mind, giving my daughter the life that I wanted to give her. And we all strive for that as parents, right? And as business women. So that's what success is for me.
That's a great answer. And I mean, purses, you're a woman after my own heart.
I mean,
It's my weak spot too.
purses and shoes. I'm a real. I mean,
I think that's most of us, if I have to be completely honest. Purses and shoes, and my big one is travel. So I cannot wait to be able to get back on a plane. That's going to be a big one. Cannot
definitely,
wait.
definitely.
So being a business owner, being a mom, being a single mom, there are probably a lot of day-to-day obstacles and challenges, but there are probably also some pretty significant obstacles and challenges that you have to face and overcome. What would be your advice to other female entrepreneurs, people who are starting up businesses, relative to how you would guide someone on overcoming obstacles and challenges and continuing to persevere?
Definitely. And that's a great question, because, you know, we face challenges and obstacles every single day, whether it's through work or personal. It's about, not feeling defeated, facing, like, everyone faces rejection. I face rejection every single day. The point is, you pick up and you keep going. You don't give up, and you don't lose sight of what your goals are. It's definitely not easy. It's something that is really important to just sort of reassess, like take a step back when things are getting difficult, things are tough, and you're feeling defeated, for instance. It's important to take a step back and figure out what you could really do to streamline, to help improve. But rejection's a big thing, and my advice for people facing that and just feeling defeated from that is to relax, take a step back, take a deep breath, and figure out what you need to do to reassess and kind of reposition yourself, maybe, whether it's in business or your career, whatever the case may be. So those are failure is a common topic of interest when it comes to running a company. Or there could be, for instance, deals. Like, there were times where I lost deals out to competition, and it phased me. And then I thought, okay, you know what? Didn't get this one. We'll go after the next one. You can't win everybody, right? And it's important to just remember that and not let it take over, because it's really easy for that to happen. And so the trick is, like I said, take a step back and reassess. That's what I could honestly offer. That's my honest advice with that.
That's really, really great advice. I think that you nailed it. We're not always going to have success. If we don't have failure, we can't make change and we can't reevaluate how we want to move forward. Everyone would just kind of do the same thing all the time. So change is good. Change is good. Very, very good.
Change is
um,
great, and it's important to, like I said, just it's a learning experience. Change and just failure, or things that rejection, obstacles, challenges, these are all forms of learning that we need to really engage in and really understand. And I think it honestly helps define us as career women. It really just has a major impact on how we tackle each day, as like I said, in the business world and as mothers, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you nailed it right there. I mean, we face challenges in our personal lives all the time, and being able to adapt, pivot, change our approach, and move that into our business world is very, very key to success. And you're a great example of that. I mean, thinking about all of the things your poor body has had to endure before the age of even 40 to be diagnosed with something that, you often think about as being something that would only affect you later in life, and having to overcome all of that adversity, and not just overcome it, but truly find a way to not only make a difference in your own life, but in the life of others through your business. It's really very, very inspiring.
Well, thank
Um,
you.
I'm just really proud of you. I'm listening to this
Well,
story, and I had the opportunity to exchange some emails with you and to touch base with you before we sat down today. And you highlighted something that I thought was really important, and I wanted to bring that up because I think it will be important for our viewers to understand as well. And that was actually with regards to startup capital. You and I started a little bit of an email exchange, and it was relative to this misconception, or maybe depending on the type of business that you have, but often a common misconception is that you need a lot of money to be able to start a business. I'm going to stop talking and let you carry that train of thought forward, because you had some really interesting points on this.
Definitely, and I think it could be a reason why, like you said, many people sort of hold back in starting that venture of theirs, and starting to start that trail of becoming an entrepreneur. Um, it's not always. It's a common misconception that you need a huge capital or investment to start your company. Now, that being said, if it's something that involves equipment and machinery, or I mean, there's different cases to every situation. In my scenario, or my situation, I didn't need to have a large capital. I was able to negotiate terms with my with the manufacturers or suppliers that I was working with, and I had made those arrangements. So I didn't buy anything or sell anything until, or sorry, I didn't purchase any product until I actually had orders that I could fill. And that's when everything started from there. Then I was able to acquire inventory. So my suggestion is to start small and work your way up. So sometimes, we get all excited and we're going to buy, X number of units, or whatever the case is, whether it's solution or a product or a service, but take it slow. Take a step back and think about, well, do I need to keep that much in inventory? Now, there could be some situations where you need to purchase in bulk in order to keep your costs low. But think about the ROI on that. Does it make sense? And I'm not going to suggest that every business owner is never going to need, tremendous capital. It really depends on what you're offering. It's, if you're talking about tech, yeah, I think you're, in situations where we need to create an app or whatever the case may be, yes, you might need obviously more capital. But in my case, I didn't. I got lucky with that. I didn't need to. I was able to use my connections and start off slow. So I didn't put a lot of money into that as well. So even my website was very basic. I did it myself. I expanded from there.
That's really great advice. I think a lot of us think that we have to be able to plan for the end goal instead of taking smaller steps to get there. So really great advice. Start small, make sure that you definitely think through the steps and the investments at those various points in time to achieve those different goals. And that's where that business plan you touched on earlier will be really, really handy.
Mhm.
Now, we're a year into, more than a year into this beautiful pandemic. And I know that part of your business has truly probably thrived as a result of being able to offer this diagnostic testing relative to COVID. But let's talk about from a bigger perspective, the pandemic and the changes that we've all gone through. How have you and your business been impacted by what's been going on in Canada
Mhm.
and all over the world over the last 12, 13 months?
Right. I mean, fun times, right? It's when when we first got hit with the first onset of COVID, I thought, well, this is not gonna amount to anything. That's okay. We're good. Don't need to worry about anything. And then our clients started pulling back. We started seeing a tremendous decrease in sales. And then I thought, oh, okay, this is some serious stuff. All right. So there is something really going on out there. I wasn't sure, right? Is this really gonna um, be a major problem that everyone's saying it is? But yes, it did. It definitely severely impacted my business. I lost a lot of revenue. But then I thought, okay, there has to be something I can do. I'm not going to take this, lying down. I mean, there has to be something more that we could do as a company, perhaps maybe acquire new products. So I just did a lot of brainstorming, did a lot of research, and I came across some preliminary, sort of products that were just in the process of getting Health Canada licensing and FDA. And I thought, you know what? I think this might be something that we could actually potentially offer our clients. So I was on the hunt for new solutions. And so luckily I was able to acquire a few new products to add to our product portfolio. And we were able to, I can't say salvage all of our lost revenue or all of our business, but we were able to go after a few key accounts along the way. I mean, the sales cycle was, it wasn't easy and it took a while, but yes, to sort of allude to what you mentioned earlier, it definitely, I want to say thrive, but definitely helped us quite a bit, where we were able to turn a challenge into an opportunity. And that's the key, right? When you're running a business, just wherever you can. It's not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's peaches and cream. It's not. It's really, really tough. But putting your mind to it and just, like I said, reassessing and trying to find an opportunity is the trick, right? And that's, if I were to define being an entrepreneur, that's it, right? Not letting that challenge take over. And again, so many businesses lost their revenue, and my heart goes out to all the companies out there that suffered economically from this. It's terrible. We're still going through it. I mean, there's another third wave that we're experiencing. Apparently, it's going to be worse. But yeah, I mean, because we have those COVID tests, we're definitely in the spotlight now, and absolutely helped my business goals for sure. And we were able to recoup a little bit more of that revenue that we lost early in the year.
Another beautiful example of overcoming obstacles, challenges, and being
Yeah.
able to pivot in order to continue to drive your business forward. This is a great story and a really great example of being able to change course where you need to and innovate. I love it. I appreciate this so much. I think all of our FemTV audience, as well as our Fem and Co Instagram followers, are going to eat up everything that you've shared with us today. Sharma, I want to thank you so much for taking time to share your journey with us, to share a bit about your business, how you innovate, the tips that you've been able to provide to our viewers relative to starting a business, to thinking the steps through before they pull that trigger, being able to balance a lot of their priorities and understand what it takes to drive a successful business, I think are really invaluable. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
On behalf of all of us here at FemTV, please do join us for our next episode. And until then, take good care.